Most of us assume the absolute peak of aviation luxury looks something like this. You have your own sliding doors, gourmet dining, and massive entertainment screens. Compare that to the literal bottom of the market, a plane ticket that costs $1. For $1, you get a seat over a lawnmower engine and a pilot focused on keeping the aircraft stable in the crosswinds. But there is a tier of travel so far above standard first class that it barely registers as the same industry. On a $500,000 private flight, the crew asks you to remove your shoes before boarding to protect a $2 million carpet. So what exactly changes when a boarding pass scales from the price of a candy bar to the cost of a house? At this scale, you are paying for an environment that feels disconnected from the typical constraints of the public aviation system. The initial climb of the pricing ladder from $1,000 to $25,000 is an escalation of physical amenities. You are buying nicer things, but you are still acquiring them inside a shared public space. The perks become increasingly specific. $10,000 provides unlimited caviar and a functional shower at 30,000 feet. At $25,000, you have a 4-room suite with a queen-sized bed and enough floor space for a workout. This overhead wireframe reveals a hard architectural ceiling. Despite the luxury price, you are still confined to the rigid layout and strict schedule of a commercial airline, boxed in by hundreds of standard seats. This creates a persistent privacy deficit. Because you share the aircraft with hundreds of other people, strangers and crew constantly move past your door, making the experience feel exposed. Up to $25,000, wealth buys high-end amenities, but it does not grant you control over the aircraft itself. That equation changes at the $100,000 threshold. At this point, the economic model switches from buying a commercial ticket to chartering a private operation. This shift gives you the entire aircraft. You now occupy a flying yacht, where polished wood tables replace cramped plastic trays. But spatial freedom is secondary to the real commodity being purchased at this price point: time. When you fly private, you bypass layovers and security lines. Ultra-high net worth individuals pay 6 figures to avoid public terminals and recapture hours of their day. This level of travel eliminates the logistical friction that defines commercial flight. It makes a trip across the ocean as seamless as moving from one room of a house to another. There is a notable exception in this pricing scale. For $300,000, you can rent a blimp, a vehicle that prioritizes scale over speed. The economic utility of this purchase is visibility. You are spending 6 figures to command public attention. By flying this massive balloon over 150,000 people at the Daytona 500, it functions as a giant flying billboard. In this instance, extreme wealth isn't buying a retreat from the public, it is buying the power to dominate their field of vision. When the bill hits $500,000, the aircraft functions more like a residence than a piece of transit equipment. The domestic details are extensive. You have multiple private bedrooms for the crew, gold-plated bathroom sinks, and onboard massage therapy. This infographic compares the floor plan of the jet to an average suburban home. This is a flying mansion, with theater rooms and living spaces that offer more square footage than a typical ground-based house. A $500,000 flight serves as an exclusive venue for curated experiences. You have the space and the resources to bring a group of random subscribers on board, serve high-end food, and surprise them with an all-expenses-paid trip to Disney World. The final takeaway of a $500,000 flight isn't the gold-plated sinks. It is the sheer agency provided to the passenger, the ability to fill a plane with random people and fly them to Disney World on a whim.